arts. It's been really generative to have South by. Of course, we're from here, so it's also extra travel.
Right. I
Yeah.
love it. I've never been, but yeah, I heard it was amazing this year.
Yeah, yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, we had lots of stars come through, just driving by. And I used to work in radio and television, so I did a lot of South by.
Right.
Um, so I was kind of reliving through my friends' like posts and stuff like that. But I was good to be, a little bit closer home this year.
Oh, amazing. I love that. Hi, Anita from Oklahoma and Tina from Pennsylvania. I love it. All over. What a beauty of virtual meetings.
Yeah.
Yay. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and get started here. Let me hit the record button. Okay, you guys. Hello, everyone, and welcome. It's my honor and joy to welcome Talyn Fiore.
Talyn Fiore.
Fiore. I was like, what
Talyn
is
Fiore.
going on with my brain today? Um, I'm going to start over because we didn't do our welcome either. I was like, what happened to my brain this morning?
I was like, he throws it over to me. And
I know. I was like, what the heck is going on? It's Foray, right?
Talyn Fiore.
Fiore. Well,
Yeah.
I've been saying it wrong this entire time, at least in my brain.
And then talon, you can think of like an eagle's talon. That's how
Yeah.
you pronounce it. It's talon.
Talyn. So Talyn, I have an unusual name too. It's Lyanca. So I always walk around and they're like, I get every version of my name. And it's like La Bamba, La Vaca. And so I'm like, well, I'm like, the easy way to say it, it's like Bianca with an L. Like,
Yeah, trying to give people like easy
Yeah.
ways is like the
yes,
key.
yes.
I think you get to introduce her today.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Now I'm going to fail. No, I'm just kidding. Fiore. No.
Fiore.
Okay.
Fiore. Like almost like, yeah,
Okay.
Fiore.
All right. We got this. Okay, you guys. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to the Hot Hustle Show. I'm Jeneth Blackert.
And I'm Lyanca Reina.
And today we've been joined with Talyn Fiore, and she is going to join us in a delicious conversation about alchemizing pain to purpose. And gosh, I'm really excited about this topic. And really, I think my brain left because I just have butterflies now that you've joined us. I don't know what that is. I was thinking about this conversation last night and some of the conversations we've had before. One of the arts that you really have is to really flip things on its head. Show people a different perspective and a different way to look at things so that we can really receive it in a different way. And I've just, really enjoyed when sort of like the universe just connected with me with you and last November, October, and I was just like,
Yeah,
I
so
just
recent.
fell in
Feels good life.
love. I just fell in love with you. And I do think that a lot of people do as well because you are that love. And you really want to change this world one person at a time, just as we do. So let's dive into this. Let's talk about alchemizing and how you look at that. And let's talk about that first. Then maybe we dive a little bit deeper into the pain as we go into the whispers of alchemy.
Yeah, alchemy, it's so interesting. I've always had a deep passion and love for alchemy ever since I read The Alchemist years ago. And that word has always really stuck with me because, like you said, I like to take something and change it. I very much hold ownership of I get to decide if this is something good or bad. I get to decide if this has meaning or not. And so when you think of alchemy, you take lead, which to the majority of the world is worthless, and you make it into something that is the most valuable thing in
Right.
existence. Even now, modern day gold is, skyrocketing. And so the beauty is if you can alchemize anything in your life that's led to gold, you are completely free. Nothing can touch you, nothing can harm you. It doesn't mean that you don't still feel the emotions. I'm very much a huge advocate of not suppressing and not like toxic positivity, but it's allowing yourself to feel it deeply and then look at this piece of lead, whatever it is, a breakup, a death, getting laid off, and saying, I'm going to turn you into something valuable. I'm going to make this lead important. I'm going to make this thing that seems so heavy, like lead in your, bag that you're carrying around, into something that actually will become currency for myself and for the world. So that's really why I love alchemy. It's being a magician. It's being a modern magician.
That's bizarre. I told Lyanca came in this morning and I said, I got this message during the night a couple of days ago during a speaker. Said, well, doubt is the opposite of gratitude. And I said that because in the moment that was how it came out. And then I woke up this morning and I said, well, shoot, why, like shame, blame, all those like lower vibrations of frequency, that's also the opposite of gratitude and receiving. And what if we could be grateful for everything? Like truly the frequency, good, bad, right, wrong, misery. Because if you say you're only grateful for these good things, then there's all this judgment.
Right.
So it's playing with this just this morning, and the way you said it made us both just smile.
I know, I saw you guys like tap each other.
That's like, universe, yes.
Yes.
Thank you
Yeah.
for giving me a little lead in this conversation before we got on the line.
Yes.
Oh, amazing. And it's so true because gratitude is such a high frequency and you can't hold two emotions at the same time or frequencies. So if you're feeling upset about something, to shift it into gratitude is such a valuable practice. But like you said, sometimes when you're feeling heartbroken, it's hard to jump into gratitude.
I was saying that.
So what I like to try to do is like in the moment of something really devastating, it is hard to alchemize it immediately. I have gotten to that point now, but that is after years, and still I'll have a little, a little tift or an emotional feeling, but then I'm like, okay, I'll get back into alignment. But that takes so much practice. So in the beginning, what I would do if I was really upset, get really physical. Like if I'm sitting on my bed and I'm heartbroken, hold my bed and just be like, I'm grateful for this bed. I am grateful
Yes.
it can hold me while I cry. I am grateful for this delicious food my friends brought me. So making it so tangible that you're not trying to say, I'm grateful for this heartbreak as you're like crying in bed,
Right.
You'll see why it happened years later, time
Yes.
after. You'll be like, oh, thank God that happened because it moved me. But in that moment, it's really just alchemizing in small ways. I think for me, what has become so valuable is alchemizing pain into little pieces of art. So for me, writing a poem, if I'm really emotional and then I write it into a poem, even if it's a sad poem, it's now a piece that exists, that pain has been alchemized into something tangible.
I like
and
that.
that poem can help someone.
Yes.
And it doesn't have to be art. It can be you decide to make a meal. You're sad about maybe your relationship with your mom. So you make this really nostalgic meal by yourself and honor your childhood and your mother. So it's like alchemizing your pain into creativity doesn't have to just be art. It's just taking something and making it into something else.
I love that so
I love it.
much.
Oh my gosh. Well, if you think alchemy, and my husband's actually a chemist.
Oh, amazing.
So, when you put a rock or an element with fire or ice, it changes states, right? But it doesn't change it right away. Like think about water. If you just add some, like it doesn't immediately become ice.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think like the actual, like just back in the day when we were talking about the actual process of alchemy, it was handed down by generations. It was this like very hard thing for people to understand, and it required knowledge and patience and practice. Like it's one of the most simple, we can't actually do it, but it's like one of the most simple processes ever, but it requires practice and commitment over and over and over. When you think of a diamond being made, it's the pressure of the diamond that's happening over a long period of time. So with the alchemy, it's kind of everything I think about is micro and macro. even with helping people, I serve people one-on-one in sessions, but I plan to, heal millions with books and with movies and all these other things. Same with alchemy. You want to alchemize the big pain you're feeling into something. But in order to do that, you must alchemize the moment. And it's a lot easier to alchemize in the moment by cooking or dancing or singing or creating something small, or being thankful for your bed just for holding you. So once you can start doing those little like micro alchemizations, it builds your muscle to then say, okay, now this huge thing, I can now alchemize this because I have the strength and I've built up the practice of it.
Yes. I mean, I love that you shared that, because one of the things I came back to Jeneth and said, I said, she was saying, but if we're doing that, if we are not being grateful, or if we're, making them unpractical. And I said, if we're doing that, she said, well, then that's judgment. And I said, well, look, I said, it's really hard for someone that has maybe been abused, or, let's say you've had, a sexual abuse, right? And we have been trained to put that out to them. No, girl, that was them. No, that's them. And so it's really hard sometimes to come to that place of, how did I create this? Because if we're master creators in this universe, then we would have to say that we created that abuse. And so then from that place, it's harder to think that I created it, A, and B, that I then want to be grateful for it. Like that just, right?
Blows your mind.
But we are coming to a higher evolution. We are coming to start to understand that we are master creators, and everything in this world and our essence is to teach us something. How do you get from, what do you say? And I know that you said the little small pieces, but what do you just say as somebody that you might be struggling in that way?
Yeah, I would say that it is so important to feel and to meet yourself right where you are.
Yeah.
It is, I can personally speak from experience. I lost my father suddenly at 18, and I ignored it for years. I put it in a box. I buried it deep. It only came out when I drank too much. And it wasn't until years later of repressing and repressing and repressing, of finally, it was actually a breakup that kind of opened the box, because I couldn't hold it all anymore. I couldn't hold the breakup and the box. And so the breakup opened the box, and I was like,
Yes.
ah. And
Yeah.
it wasn't until I felt it all. It wasn't until I processed those emotions. I went to therapy. I saw healers. I think when it's the bigger things,
Yes.
like abuse and heartbreak and death, it is necessary to have support, because it is so much bigger than, oh, you got a flat tire, but it was happened for a reason. It goes so deep, and that pain is so treacherous that you need to have someone to help you with it, and almost just to be there to hold you and love you as you process it and go through it, and really look at each piece of it. But I also am not a huge fan of, like, a lot of therapy, you go back to the memory. I think that is valuable to a point. I think
Right.
it's important to see patterns and to understand things. But I think that the reason that healing has become so big is because you embody the knowing. Oh, I have these patterns, but now I'm going to embody a different life. And even with, death or sexual abuse or these bigger things, it's also getting to a point. And I wouldn't ever say thank sexual abuse. I don't think that just like doesn't feel resonant in my body. But I would say not becoming identified with it and letting it be the only thing about you that you can remember, because the pain is so thick. I think it's necessary to unpack that pain with someone, with a therapist, with a healer, with someone, so that you realize that is a piece of your story.
Yeah.
An piece that should have never happened, but you identify now as, I am going to rise in not live in its shadow, and deciding that that's kind of where the sovereignty comes in. I remember I was in Bali, and I remember it was like my first time ever traveling alone. I spent a month in Bali on a whim. And I remember sitting there and thinking, why did my dad die? Like, where is the beauty in it? Like, what's the gift? And I remember just getting such a deep knowing of, you're going to change the world. And if you did not lose him, you would not. because that breaking of you created you. And my dad essentially came in and said, I gave my life so that you could heal the world.
Oh my God, I'm gonna cry. That's
It's funny
so
because
brave.
my dad, I felt, did sort of a same thing. When he died, I almost felt that he led me. Like I started to hear whispers like I'd never heard and had spirits and inceptions from him.
And your dream.
And yeah. And I had this surreal ass dream of how he actually was one of my guides. And I mean, it was so surreal, that I woke up like, why am I in bed? I mean, it was like, no, it
Not
really
real.
happened.
Mhm.
So that's so beautiful well, and I think, don't you think that people do choose to go on the other side to help us?
Yes, I very much believe. I mean, there's so many things I think that we all set up things preordained. I think that there's a lot of free will. So I think with each choice you make, the universe kind of says, oh, we're going that path. Now we have to move things around to
Yes.
follow that
Yes.
path. But
Yes.
I very much believe that there was never like a reality when my dad was here past 18 because of the potential that I had as a soul coming in. I think I was born on like 5 retrogrades. And so I got an Akashic, or not an Akashic, an astrological reading once. He goes, I feel like you came here and we're just basically like, I'm gonna F shit up. Like he was like, you were like, break me young, like make it so difficult, like the diamond, that it is just like boom, 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 boom. So by the time I'm, in my 30s, I know who I am. I know what I want to do, and I'm going to heal the world. Micro, macro, one by one and millions. But if
Yes.
all that stuff didn't happen young, I wouldn't be who I am today. So I'm so thankful for all of the pain, all of the heartbreak, all of the grief. And I can personally say that about every single thing I've gone through that's bad. I do thank it because I know that it was necessary for me to be where I am today.
Absolutely.
Gosh, that's so brave of you. So thank you for being on that journey, and thank you for sharing that with us in a very vulnerable way. Because to ask those questions and be like, why did my dad die? And then I'm grateful. That's a very hard, that's a big gap.
Yeah.
And bless you for doing so. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, it's like
It took a long time. I like to say that too. I think people in spiritual journey, they always want to just be like, hey, can I have one session and be healed? And I'm like, it is a lifetime journey. If you figure it all out, you'll probably just die. You'll probably just dissolve.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
why be here?
Yeah.
it's just never the journey, and the learning and the healing does not end. Even myself, I'm a full-time healer, and I am still constantly in awe of how I'm being shaped by my clients and shaped by the world. And I always think, oh, now I've made it. And I'm like, this is just the beginning of
It
my
is.
own evolution and healing. But that's the delicious part. It's not to rush through it. It's to enjoy every bit of it.
Yeah. I thought this was a good question on the feed. Andrew asked, can you be grateful for something in the past, but still in deep sadness?
Yes, I think that is definitely a yes, because just to go back to the example I have, I'm so grateful for everything that happened. I'm actually grateful too, because now I have my dad as like, I have his soul to work with.
Yes.
Mhm.
And if
Yes.
his human, which his human was kind of difficult.
I love it.
Kind of a hard guy to get around. But I still have deep sadness sometimes. It's rare, but there are moments where like a song will hit me and I will just bawl. And I think the beauty is so much of life is not this or that, it's this and that. Everything exists simultaneously. You can be grateful for the breakup because it sent you on a new job in a new country, but your heart is still grieving the loss of love, whatever it is. I think it's really important to open the conversation about holding everything together. You can be really mad at someone and love them. We've all been there. You can regret something and be grateful for it. You can be embarrassed while being happy. Like, it's all of it. We're such labelers. We're such a labeling
Right.
society. I'm a vegan, I'm fit, I'm single, I'm poly, it's like, let's just all decide every morning who we are and be that way and have complete freedom to change our minds tomorrow.
I
And
love
maybe we
that.
don't even need to decide.
Exactly. Just allow it to
We just
unfold.
be, yeah, we can change on a dime if we want to change. Well, I want to change the conversation just a little bit and talk about pain in the body. I know as a Reiki master, you work with a lot of bodies, and sometimes you have to go through the body to alchemize things. Can you talk a little bit about that and maybe how we might go about alchemizing pain?
Yeah, so there's that brilliant book, Body Keeps the Score, that I am such of the belief that physical ailments are real. They are 100% real, but the energetic imbalance underneath them is what creates it. I think someone gave me this example once. You can take a woman that just went through a divorce and she's having a really hard time and she goes skiing and she, skis down and she breaks her right leg. Yes, she's broken her right leg. That is real, but it is all the fear and the anger at the masculine, which is the right side, that has created that slight imbalance that had her catch the mountain at the wrong place and break her leg. So it's thinking that when you are treating the body, a lot of the times we're putting a band-aid on a deeper issue. So whenever I have anything happen to me, I'm always like, which side is it? Always. Right is masculine, left is feminine. So if I like tweak my neck one night, I'm like, ooh, my feminine side, like, what is she trying to tell me? And it's usually either, well, for me, I kind of ride the masculine side a lot more. So usually my feminine side will give me a little pain to say, hey, go sing, go dance, slow down, stop working. And so my body's constantly trying to communicate with me. So when you're having a physical pain, I would say start there. Which side of the body is it in? And if you meditate with it, what is it trying to tell you? I had acne issues for a long time after I got off birth control, and it was very much me realizing that I was not accepting myself. I was still so obsessed with what people thought about me, to the point where I had acne on my face in my late 20s. Like, it was a nightmare. And the universe was getting so loud of like, you have to love yourself through it. We're going to make it so loud on your face that until you love yourself, then it will go away. And now, like, I have clear skin and it's like, praise Jesus. But
No, it's a real
Well,
thing.
and I always thought, face is something that you're not facing, which could also fall into that as well.
yeah, I
Like,
think
you
that,
weren't facing the ability to be judged because of your acne and things like that, right?
and I was quite spiritual at this point. It was like after I'd done ayahuasca, that's why I got off birth control. So I would have, if you had asked me then, I would have said that I was very free, which is true, but I still deeply cared what people thought of me.
Yeah.
I was raised up in Las Vegas. We were kind of like a new rich family. Like, my dad he was homeless and became a really wealthy and, spent a lot of money. And so I was raised very superficial. I was raised wear makeup. I was raised, if you have cellulite, put on tights. I was raised on like looking perfect and put together. And so the acne just did, and I've always been able to kind of like get people to like me. So with the acne, it was this really tangible manifestation of, can you can you accept yourself even if you feel ugly, quote unquote, can you get past what other people think? And I honestly at that time thought I was past it. And then the acne made me realize I wasn't, because I was so afraid to go outside. I was like, oh, wow, I clearly do care what people think.
Yeah.
So again, it's like, it was a struggle for years. I did every tea and everything you can think of, but it wasn't until I fully stopped caring what people think, which took years. And now I can confidently say I'm pretty close. I'm pretty big on Instagram and TikTok. So with that comes a lot of scary comments that you got to get used to. And now it's just, they fall off. Like, I don't even think about them. Half the time I laugh and I say, thanks for bringing joy into my morning. This was hilarious. Because
That's
Love that.
awesome.
Like,
Will you
facing
talk
the
a little
judgment.
bit about that? Just because it does go into the self-worthiness, and I know we talked about this behind the scenes a little bit, and I also think that it's kind of inspire. It is inspiring how you finally were able to, like, I treated this as a real business. I really got serious about why I was posting, and how you let that drop away, and now it's
yeah, so
so much for
yeah, I was
you.
going to say, it's a little backstory. So when I was still going through all of this self-worth and this caring what people thought of me. The beginning of last year, 2023, I'm like so confused on dates. I got a lot of intuitive pings to get on social media. I was very anti-social media. I had written a whole television show about how like the cons and the evil of social media.
Yeah.
So when this ping came in, I was like, no way. And then like 2 days later, someone else said it. And I was like, okay, interesting. And then like a couple days later, a third person said it. And if something happens in threes, I always do it. And I was like,
wow.
oh my gosh, I'm petrified to get on social media. TikTok was easy because it was all strangers, but to post on my Instagram with my high school friends and college friends, I'd been spiritual for gosh, ages, 6 or 7 years, but I wasn't, people in my real life knew I was spiritual, but I wasn't, posting it publicly. And I made a commitment. I said, okay, I'll do this for 30 days. Let's just like, for me, if there's fear, that is the way. That's what Carl Jung says. So for me, I was so afraid of posting. I was like, crap, I have to do it now because there's clearly some huge block. And I think I went viral in like 2 weeks and was like, whoa, okay, so maybe this is the way. And at the beginning, I had the perfect lighting and the perfect setup and I had my makeup on and like everything. But when you post every day, like you can't keep that up. You cannot keep it up. So then it was always the videos where I'm laying in bed. It'd be like 10 o'clock. I'm like, oh my God, I forgot to post. And I have no makeup on, pimples awry, but filming a video. Those were the ones that went viral. It was
I love that.
the truest, most in the moment ones. So even to this day, I actually post every single day. I don't like film ahead of time because I wait every day for spirit to tell me something. And then I jump on my phone and post it. And it was difficult at first with the comments. I think your first kind of set of comments, you're like, whoa, people really can be nasty, especially when something goes viral. Because when you're in the millions, there's just people that are saying stuff just to stir the pot.
Yeah.
And it had to increase my armor even more. It's like I had a few people reach out too of I love that you post without makeup on your socials. It gives me bravery. And I'm like, if you only knew the skin journey I had, like, so it's been everything I do is meant to heal others, but I'm healing myself in the actual process of it. Like doing social media has completely created this deep love and appreciation where I really don't care what people think anymore. Like anyone, like I really can just say, I will shout my truth from a mountaintop. And if you don't like it, you can kick rocks, go subscribe to another channel.
Sure.
Like, I don't care because I love myself that much. Where what you say is not going to affect how I feel about myself.
Oh,
It's also
man, that's inspiring.
become very aware in working with you that you also know exactly your boundaries and exactly how you want to present things. Can you talk a little more about that? Because I feel like that has a lot to do with how you create and manifest in this world.
Yeah, I would
Because
say-
you're so clear.
Yeah, I would say with boundaries to touch on that first, I used to be such a people pleaser to the point of just being always empty because I was going out of my way for everyone. And when you realize that the core of people pleasing is trying to earn love, period. People can say, no, I'm generous, that is true. If you have any condition attached to it of, I did that for you last week, that is not unconditional love. That is you trying to either get tit for tat or to earn love. And so I think for so much of my life, I let people walk all over me. Oh my goodness. So now I'm so strong with my boundaries energetically with clients because I have containers where people text me. If I feel like it's too much, I'm just like, hey, like this is, my time. It's past this time or it's on the weekend. I'm also just really clear with familial relationships. I've spent the last year traveling. I left LA and kind of had this spiritual sojourn that transformed my life. And I had to take a step back from some people in my life because I was like, I need to be so strong in myself that you don't affect me as much because you affect me so much, but I realized like, you're not going to change. I have to change, but I need space to do that. And so I have hard boundaries with really close people in my life of I only let them so close because I know that having that boundary up keeps me safe. And so the thing that's funny about boundaries and people pleasers is that you think by people pleasing and being over generous, people are going to like you more. they can subconsciously feel the desperation behind that.
Yeah.
And they actually push you away. The
Yeah.
second, I've had so many like clients where I'm like, hey, this is this way, and they actually respect me more. Or, hey, this is my rate now, and they respect me more because they can feel that I respect myself.
Mm.
That's what happens with boundaries. They can sense that you respect yourself. So then they're like, oh, I'm going to respect them because they respect them.
Mm-hmm.
You get walked all over. They can sense this is all happening subconsciously. No one realizes.
Yes.
They're like, you know, subconsciously, it's like, oh, they don't care about themselves. So I'm just going to dump my load on them too.
Hmm.
So that's a huge part. I kind of forgot the second part of the question.
Well,
But-
I was just saying that clarity within your boundaries, I think that has a lot to do with how you create in the world and how you manifest. I just feel like you're really, really clear.
Yeah,
But it's almost as if you just bounce off the universe. Like it's almost like you don't have to actually create a vision. I think there are visions that are created, but it's more that you just follow the whispering world.
Yeah, and it's been so interesting because before I used to be like, this is the way, hard boundaries, this is the only way, and I can do it myself. No one can do it better. Then it was just like this. So if you just it's like, like all that frequency is so intense. And I actually launched a book for my 30th birthday, and it was like I was so set on the 30th. It had to be this way. I was smoking a cigarette on the cover because it was a very like old glam, like old Hollywood glam look.
Yes. Yes.
And after months of learning the software, publishing everything, 30th birthday, it comes out. You can't market anything with a cigarette at all, period.
Oh.
So I sat there and bawled on my 30th birthday. I was like, why? You know, and it's so funny in hindsight, that was me, the human, taking this really beautiful idea of a book, but then humanizing it, of being, it has to be this way, it has to be on this timeline. And I learned so much in that experience of, okay, I need to allow the universe to work through me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so interesting because that book itself, like everyone loved it, but it just never really got to see the light of day because of stupid cigarette.
Right.
And I don't even smoke. So it's even funnier. Like everyone's like, what was the point? I'm like, I just wanted to like look like Hollywood glam.
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
and so
Funny.
in hindsight though, it's such a blessing because I always saw a second vision for that book, and I always saw it on vinyl. Like I wanted to speak it with music on vinyl. That's like always been a goal. And over 3 years, when we're talking time, 3 years, I finally was led to the perfect book designer. I was finally led to the perfect musician, and things have unfolded so much better than I could have ever expected because I listened. I listened, but it was like, don't try to push the cigarette thing. Cause I could have changed the cover and pushed it, you know, back then. This is not the time. Like put this down to save your life. Cause I was so stressed about it. And it fell away for quite some time. Other books came in, and it's like you said, Jeneth, it's listening, you know, it is okay. Like pay attention to this musician or bring up the book in this conversation. And so then I will, and then I meet a musician, and it's just listening to, when you're creating, you have to realize it is its own entity.
Yes.
It has its own ideas and purpose and thoughts. So when I'm trying, it's like a child and a mother. It's like when you're telling your child, you know, you have to eat this way and talk this way and go to this school. It's like, that's not the type of mother I want to be. I want to say, I brought you into this world. You healed me. Now I'm going to release you so that you can heal others. And that is the actual beauty of alchemy too, is timing and waiting and listening and allowing it to be bigger than yourself. Collaborating with people made me realize how remarkable that process is.
Yeah.
How my vision is not the best. Like, you know, it can only take me so far. And then working with incredibly talented people really turns it into something real. And so it's just been this amazing process too, of now this book is coming out in May, and it's like, it's 3 years in the making, but it had to unfold in its perfect timing. It had to be that way. And it's just the listening. Believe me, there's times where I wanted it to be, you know, 2 years ago. I'm like, I think now's the time. And I got, no, it's not. And having to listen and allowing yourself to be flexible to changes and never letting go of like the original vision, because someone has to be the one to hold the intention of the dream. but
Sure.
allowing all of the changes to happen as it unfolds.
The entity to talk to you and be its own creative. I love that so much. And we've been talking about that on the show a little bit here and there, but the way you so eloquently put it, and that it had, the mother analogy, it's just phenomenal. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
So, but the idea of having that Hollywood Glam initially, that was still an inkling and inspiration,
Well,
right?
so totally. I actually, in my current book, I think it's the first book was called Brown Eyed Girl, and I thank it in this book. And I
Mhm.
say, thank you, Brown Eyed Girl, for teaching me the importance of divine timing and patience. If you had soared, waking up in Ode to Alchemy wouldn't exist.
Interesting.
That had worked. I wasn't ready yet. I thought I was ready. I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready to carry what the book is meant to do in the world. And so I had the idea of the Hollywood Glam so it would stop there. So I would hit a wall so that it would wait till now when I know who I am. I can actually hold the frequency of the impact it's supposed to have. And also, I have an audience now and I know who I am. And it's just like the world is hungry for it. And so it's a perfect point. Yeah, that failure, quote unquote, was divinely orchestrated.
Yeah.
I love that. Just shower you in some celebrations.
Yeah.
I know.
Celebration.
Yeah.
It wasn't a failure. Yeah, like we got the celebration. Buddy.
Well, I mean, there's so many people out there that talk about how failure leads to success. Like the more you fail, the more success you will have. Usually the people who have the most money have had the most failures.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about how fear is you use that to guide you, because I feel that, there's a difference between that fear where you just have butterflies and it's actually possibly misidentified as excitement, right? And then there's like fear, like this could injure you or hurt you.
Yeah. I think that so much discernment is important there. This is spending enough time with your body that you know how it communicates with you, because I can tell the difference in my body of if I'm in a situation with a group of people and I can feel it's draining my energy and I need to leave, I can feel that kind of like nudge of like, hey, get out of here. This is not for you. Versus I'm afraid to do this for a project and it's bumping into my ego. That's a different feeling. That's like, I don't want to do this because what will people think? Or I don't want to do this because it could fail. Or I don't want to, those are two different kind of markers. So it's important to know within yourself how they speak to you. If I bump into the second fear, if it ever has to do with my ego, if it ever has to do with fear around money, if it ever has to do with fear of rejection, I push through it because I know that those are some of my wounds. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. I'm going to go straight through it, because when you push through the fear, you realize it's way less scary than you thought. It's the anticipation of something that creates fear. It's like, have you seen, like the little kid it's like a meme where he thinks he's drowning and he's like, he's freaking out. And then like the mom just stands him up and it's like,
Yes.
that's fear. It is the thought of this is going to hurt me. This is going to be scary. Rejection's going to suck. If you push through it, you immediately get to the other side and say, hey, that wasn't so bad. But if you stay on the other side of it, you can just sit in that fear for decades and just wondering. And fear is like, a lot of the time, fear is not, it's an illusion. It is something that doesn't actually exist yet because you haven't done it. It's what you think it's going to be like on the other side, but you don't actually know until you're on the other side. So you might as well just go to the other side and see for yourself instead of
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I love that.
And I imagine if you had stayed on the forward side or the back side of fear and not done the social media for those silly reasons, right? But those are very valid reasons. I just saw somebody write about that. And, are you holding yourself back because of family, or you're afraid of, what your past people would think? And that's that comes up for a lot of people in a lot of ways, of the way that they shut themselves down from being able to share their gifts with the world.
fear, other people, what people are going to think about them. So it's a matter of, if you just do it without caring what other people think, you'll realize it doesn't really matter as much as you think they did, because half the people aren't even paying attention. All the people you're so afraid they're going to judge you, they're not even paying attention. They're like not looking at you half the time. And then also on the latter half, I had a bunch of people from college reach out and say how impactful my content was. This was like before I was larger, and it surprised me, because I'm like, wow, I thought that was one of the people that would unfollow me. So it's also just realizing half the time we're deciding what we think other people are going to do. Have to let them decide themselves. It's not up to predetermine how they're going to react, because a lot of the time, allow yourself to be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. One time I got in the series, I was like, I feel like we're hitting an offer after every call. Is it too much? And then I was in a meditation, and then it said something like, you need to give people the opportunity to make their choice. And just make it an invitation, something to the tune of that. And I thought, what a blessing. So I was guided to do that and put together these amazing offers. And, it's fine, because now everyone has all these different choices.
And if you think about it, it's like a buffet. Like, everyone doesn't like seafood, everyone doesn't like eggs or cheese or whatever it is. So you have to send out a plethora of options, because everyone's going to speak to one of them and not all of them. And so it's about trying to have as many languages or flavors as you can, so that you can try to connect with as many people as you can.
Yes.
Yeah,
so much
absolutely. One of my biggest fears when I was starting my business was I was terrified of wasting a lot of money and a lot of time and not getting results. And I was so stuck on that I was just stuck and wouldn't take action. And I was actually going to a regular psychologist, and she's like, interesting. So basically you're gonna just stay and do nothing. She's like, you can either live this and see if that's actually even true.
Right.
Or you can just do nothing. And she's like, do you really want to live your life doing nothing? And it was like, okay, I'm listening now.
I love
it. That was kind of the kick in the ass I needed.
And also, I think that there's something to be said about when you create your own business, it's amazing and it's hard. I think there's a lot of, do what you love and you'll never work another day in your life. And that is true. And you should strive to do something you love every day, because it's the majority of your life. But that doesn't mean there's not going to be challenges. I feel like people have one challenge and they're like, oh, I guess this isn't meant to be. It's like, no, you need to be able to be a CEO, CFO, marketing, customer service, content. Having your own company is actually not having one job. It's having 15 different jobs and figuring them all out. True. And just realizing that even your dream is going to have road bumps, it's not always going to be a walk in the park. And that's okay. That doesn't mean it's not the right way. And I also wanted to touch on money really quick too, because I think that's such a big topic around people not wanting to chase their dreams.
Yeah.
I was raised very kind of a little bit lower the middle class. And then my dad became extremely wealthy. And like I mentioned, he was homeless when he was a child. So he was new money, very, flashy and nice cars and all that stuff. When he passed away, my mom was able to kind of keep up a guise as if we had money to get us through college. And then once we graduated, it was very, hey, the money's actually gone. You guys are on your own. And again, I'm thankful for this, because me having everything handed to me would have been a much different journey. From that day forward, everything I have is self-made. My car I own, everything I've done has been from the bottom up. And I like to tell people that, to say that you can do it too. I have, even 2 years ago, I was selling my mom a $30 gift card for money. I was like, do you go to Ulta? She's like, what? I was like, can you Venmo me $30 for this gift card? That's how low I was. And so I just like to talk about that, because I think people can see me and they can see where I'm at, and they're like, oh, she's had it easy, this and that. And it's just, I'm self-made. And so can you. You can be too.
I love that.
And it's risky. And there have been times where when I moved to Sedona last year, I sold everything and moved to a city I'd never been, because my intuition told me to. I was just like, okay, and I didn't have any money at the time. Like, I didn't know what I was doing. I just was doing it, and it works out every time. When you jump, sometimes you have to jump without the net. So many people I talk to are like, well, I need to have a nest egg. I need to figure out the
Yes.
backup. Like, no, 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 no. When you jump without seeing the net, that is when the net appears. And I know it's petrifying, but the universe wants to see, do you trust me? Do you trust me enough to jump? And I have cold chills because it's like, this is the thing people miss is this moment. Blind faith is a currency with the universe.
Mm-hmm.
Girl,
Wow.
speak.
Wow.
I love
I
it.
feel like another badassery conversation
Yes,
here.
yes, like-
Well, let's, do you want to open up the chat? Do you want to take some live callers? We've got a few on the chat already. Lyanca, do you want to read a few of them?
Sure.
Um,
And anybody raise your hand as well if you want to come on mute. Let's see. D says, what about physical pain, for example? Neurologia may of some kind, maybe a nervous system situation like fibromyalgia. I see this in my practice sometimes and live with a she's putting all these
fancy words in there.
Trigonomenal nerve thing myself. The one is interesting about how to have something that is more than temporary relief. So she's talking about like actual nervous system and fibromyalgia. So things that have like that long lasting, that ping, stuff like that, instead of it just being like in your side and it's telling you something. What do you think about those in the body?
So when it's an all over symptom, to
Sure.
me, it's that there's a disharmony in the soul in a very energetic level it is taking over everything.
Interesting.
So it is a lot of the time unrepressed emotion. It can be grief, it can be resentment, it can be anger, it can be rejection of your own self. So you're flaring up because you're rejecting yourself. So it's such a case by case basis. But when it's the whole body, it is even more of a reason to, in my mind, work with a healer alongside as a medical professional.
Sure.
I really like kind of Eastern and that type of stuff. But I think that when it's something that is that severe, making sure you're doing both. But you want to make sure with the healing, you're going to that underlying issue, having someone assess your energy and figuring out like, why is this happening? What is the resistance energetically that is creating this? My mom had breast cancer a few years ago and she's completely fine in remission and everything, which is, God bless.
Yes.
But she's the first one to say this was years of unrepressed resentment and anger towards your father that I just held and held and held. And then the grief of losing him increased that. So she is the first person to say all of that negative, toxic energy lived in me creating this cancer. And then the cancer left and she, worked on all the things and it has not come back. So that is how powerful emotions are that are trapped in the body. If you think of how much love can make you feel, how amazing it can change your whole dynamic, imagine that the same thing is happening with something that is quote unquote negative, that is unrepressed. So really going deep of, am I rejecting myself? Is this a specific trauma that I have pushed down that I need to look at? Is this not being able to receive love? There's just so many things that I would get assessed by someone energetically to see, am I not loving myself? There's so much, but it feels so much bigger, like you said, than just masculine or feminine.
Isn't it fascinating that now science is now, it's, basically just showing that exactly what you said, that now we can put both the spirit and, Western medicine together, right? Epigenetics is showing us that. That it wasn't always just the genes because I was born to believe, bad genes that I was going to have breast cancer. No, it's the environment. And how do we design our environment? We do that with the vision that we have in our minds. So then we have the power back to change our brain, to change our thoughts, to then change our environment, which then changes our bodies
and our
entire
energy. Yeah.
And I love that I love that it's scientific. I love that they have actual proof of genetic is not really a thing. It is the environment of the child being in the same environment as the parent. And that's actually why it's getting passed down. And there's so many different research and evidence too, of like when you speak to something positively versus negatively. So if you
Right.
think that your body is this environment, like regardless just of this environment, your body is an environment. So what happens internally? What are you saying? What are you thinking? What are you judging? What are you loving? And that is the fertilizer that you're giving to create your actual physical body. And this environment is the most important. You know, it's kind of like figure out your own, like fill your own cup, figure out this environment before you blame everything around you. It's, you know, it was this relationship, it was my daughter not being nice, all these things. It's like, just go in. If everyone went in and stopped worrying about everyone else, the whole world would heal.
Yes.
It's all this pointing fingers and looking and it's your fault and my fault. It's just like, go in, heal here. This is all you can control. And then you become a clearer mirror for other people to see their healing in you. And then you inspire them to heal themselves.
Yeah,
Amen,
we've been
sister.
talking about that all series and how, you know, most of these big things that are chronic, those are systemic, like way down to, you know, shame from a 2-year-old. My mom thinks that she ended up dying of breast cancer, but she thinks she got breast cancer because she was sexually assaulted when she was 17. And she just wanted to hide, you know, and hide her female organs and things like that. She was a very, very private person. And it was so interesting that, I mean, she didn't know until like her final days, really, that was really might have been how that was created. But she's like, no, this, you know, breast cancer doesn't run. Because I was like, is this something I really need to worry about? You know, because grandma didn't have it and the other grandmas and this, that, and the other. And she's like, no, I think I might have created this. You don't have anything to worry about.
Yeah. And
Yeah, interesting,
beautiful
huh?
realization and, you know, sending you love too. I know that that's not easy to lose her. And I feel like the fact that that clarity came too closer to her end days is
I was
showing,
thinking the same thing. Yes.
yeah, showing even more so of having that divine clarity of that is what's happening with all of us. If we could all just like take a beat and stop blaming everyone and just literally look at things from a new perspective, there is just no harm in trying to see it from a different lens.
Right?
Yeah. Do you want to take another question?
Sure,
There's
sure.
one
Let's see.
that's
Roll
further
on
down.
Let's see. So let's see.
Manpreet.
Yeah, Manpreet says, these days I feel uncomfortable around some people as they are talking negative or about their pains all the time. Previously, I would love to be part of these such conversations, but now I just feel uncomfortable to listen to any kind of negative thought process. Should I just keep to myself, keep myself away such people? And is this some kind of sign?
Yeah. So what it feels like, just my own intuition as it's coming through, because I always have like my own intuition, and just so everyone knows, you've been getting Reiki this whole time because whenever I do, you get Reiki. But so right as that comment came through, immediately I heard is that you specifically have shifted your frequency higher. So it is time for you to allow these conversations that used to fuel you, let them fall away. Because you guys now, I don't like to think of like higher or lower, but they're different vibrationally now. You've grown and evolved. So if you let these things fall away that no longer resonate, you're actually making space for connections that resonate to come through. This might mean that for a little bit you are isolated. That kind of is how it goes. You know, you let it fall away, you're isolated because, again, you want to make sure that you can hold it. And then these new, delicious, resonant conversations and connections will come through.
Wow.
And that's just always such a good indicator. I'm of the belief that you should not, if something doesn't feel right in your body, walk away. You don't owe anything to anyone to be in a place where it makes you feel uncomfortable. And even if they were your friends in the past, I've lost a lot of friends over my life, and I bless them and I love them, and I can still hold joy for what they were, but they no longer feel good. And I value my energy more than money. And so I'm like, if this doesn't feel good, I'm going to walk away and always send you love and blessings. And then people that do feel good come right in and take their spot.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Again, yes, you're very clear on that. And I think that's supported in every single way.
Yeah. All right, let's take
Go ahead.
let's take one more live caller and then we will talk about your new creation, which is really interesting and epic. So just Manisha, you're up. Unmute yourself.
Yeah, hello, ladies. Thank you so much. I love today's conversation and on so many levels with other listeners and Talyn as well. I'm thinking of writing a book about my life and my health challenges. I don't have a large intestine. I don't have a spleen. So many surgeries, and again, I resonate with you saying, now is the time, divine timing. So I just wanted to say thank you so much, because it's really, I've been wanting to write and not being able to. So I just wanted to say that. And again, I resonate with on so many levels about fear. I've been on this call with you ladies maybe a couple of weeks ago when you first started, because I've had a difficult relationship with my father, who's passed away. My ex-husband was gay. So on so many levels, betrayal, pain, guilt, shame. So, like you said, go within and, evaluate. So, okay, these were karmic lessons. But sometimes it's hard to just, justify as well that, why so much pain, one has to go through.
Yeah, and I first just want you to just take a deep breath in and just receive some Reiki. I can feel your heart right now, and I just want to thank you so much for being here and let you know that you are right where you are meant to be. I'm getting a full yes on your book, like full yes. And I just want to tell you too that you are going to face a lot of this pain as you write. So I just want to let you know that it's going to be the catalyst for your healing, that the book itself doesn't matter. It is the process that you are going to go through as you write the book that is going to heal the pain that is still so active in you. I can feel the pain and know that the writing of it won't always be easy, because I am also writing a book about my own life that's going to come out next year. And it has been tough to face it and to write it. But it is through, again, the obstacle, through the difficulty, that you heal even further. So I applaud you on writing your life story, and just know that it is the path. I definitely think you should write it, and just prepare yourself for even deeper healing. So when the end of that book is written, you can look back and look at the process of, wow, that finally healed all of these wounds that I'm still holding, that are still active in me. Sending you so much love.
Hey, thank you so much. Thank you so much, ladies. Wonderful
so
call. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Talyn, let's talk about this. Let me go ahead and share my screen. You surprised me a lot. And when I looked at this page, I
It's
was just like,
beautiful,
oh
first
my
off.
gosh, this is just so you.
I know. This
Yeah.
is, this the soul of me that is deeper. And this is the book that I mentioned. The first round had its time a few years ago, and this one is called Waking Up in Ode to Alchemy. And it is a collection of poems and photography, and the whole first half of the book is black, and then the whole second half is white. And the reason being is that I want you to walk into my deepest pain with me, and then see how I turned it into light. And so really the goal with this is, can you wake up? Can you wake up from the darkness? Can you wake up from sleepwalking in your own pain and wake up to the light inside, wake up to the power inside? And just a little background, I never planned on publishing these poems. So I wrote these poems thinking they would never see the light of day. I was very much like going really, really raw. And a couple of years ago, when the first one came out, I had a medium say, this book that you're writing is going to change the world. And I was like, I'm not writing a book. I was working on a TV show at the time. She's like, no, this book. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. So I went home the next day. I was living in Laguna Beach at the time, and my poetry journal fell and flipped open to the first page. And I had written Book of Poems by TF. And I was like, this is the book. This is the book she was talking about. So that's when I put them together, and I had that first launch for my 30th birthday. And since then, I always felt like there was more for it. I always felt like I would get random messages from people saying, I have Brown Eyed Girl, and I leave it on my nightstand, and every morning I flip to a page and get a message for the day. And I always felt that, and kind of like we were talking about the first book, I'm on the cover, my face is very open. I feel like the first book was more about me. It was called Brown Eyed Girl. I was on the cover. This book, Waking Up in Ode to Alchemy, is all about you. It's all about you. I want you to feel my pain and my depth so that you have the courage to face your own. I want you to scribble on it. When a poem makes you feel something, I want you to write on it of what it's making you feel. Maybe you close it and then you go write a poem, or you go cook a meal, or you dance. I want it to be something that activates alchemy within you, and really activating, how can I take this emotion, whether it's heartbreak, grief, whatever it is, and turn it into something that I have control over? Because you didn't have control over the thing that happened, but now you can control it. And it's infused with Reiki. And we have, this has been the craziest project, because we did all of the spoken word on vinyl, like on records. And it's also going to be available on Spotify. So when you get the book, there's a QR code. So you're able to listen to me speak it with this incredible music. This musician I found like took it to another level. So it's really meant to be this deep, deep immersive experience of going through the book and listening to it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. What a beautiful body of work.
Yeah.
And
Look at this.
thank you, universe, for making you wait on it. I mean,
Yeah.
all of it, right? It's such a beautiful body of work. I'm super inspired by it all. And I know that it's going to change lives for sure. For sure.
Yeah. And I think
So,
Fun.
guys,
yeah, go ahead.
go ahead and get on the wait list right here on the page.
Yeah.
And I bet you'll get other goodies from Talyn too.
Yeah, definitely. I do a newsletter every Tuesday, just sending some free information on how to tips and tricks and alchemy and just how to live a more spiritual life. And then you will get the updates on when the book is available for pre-order and the music on streaming. And it's just meant to be something to allow you to go deep. You know, I think as a young girl, I very much hid my emotions. I wanted to feel like I was super cool and the cool girl and not emotional. And I think it's just, I've learned that emotions are so valuable. So the more that you can feel your emotions and go deep, the more that you'll learn to know yourself, your true self, not this mask that you put on. And so I hope with this book is just to wake you up to the alchemy that you have inside each of us. I'm not special. I always like to say that. It's not that I'm any different from you. I've been heartbroken. I've been broke. I've been depressed for years. You know, I've had an eating disorder. I've been to the lowest of low. And if I can alchemize, so can you. And so I hope that this helps to lead you on that journey of really bringing your pain and making it into purpose.
Yeah. It's a beautiful creation. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
My goodness. Any last words for us as we
Yeah.
wrap up?
Any parting
My
words?
last words would be is that you are right where you are meant to be. Everyone tends to feel behind or like they've missed something or it's too late. You can change your life right now. You can decide today that something will be different. And you have just as much power as the most successful person in the world, just to the lowest person of the world. We are all the same. We are just reflections of each other. Anything you see in me that you're inspired by is just that seed in yourself that you are seeing and I'm activating within you. So just know that your dream life is possible. It is your birthright. And yeah, and I love you.
Yeah.
That's
Thank
beautiful.
you. My goodness. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
Very inspiring. And I'm reading from the chat. She says, Christina says, very, very inspiring. I have been told various times that I'll be writing a book. That's exciting too. I mean, I think you brought out a ton of, just art, everything for right.
And
For
if people
everyone.
keep
So
telling you,
bless you.
Christina, there's a reason it keeps coming up. So really, that listening, the universe nudges you through other people a lot of the time. So I would definitely listen to that and write a book. There's no harm in writing. There's no harm ever in creating. You're creating, which is just making an extension of yourself. So it's never a waste of time to create, ever.
No.
Yeah. I hope everyone writes it.
Well, thank you.
I was thinking, I know we're off recording, but those books that came through me, those were like nagging me. Like I had to almost. Books have a way of doing that for people.
And they have their own timing. I have so
Mhm.
many books that I've started, and then the creative inspiration stops, and so then I
Mhm.
put them away for a long time, and then it comes back. So I think it's just allowing them to, like, not trying. Again, it's the discernment. It's, if you keep hearing it, try, but also know that when it's meant to happen, it'll happen. There doesn't have to be like a forcing of it, because it'll come through when it's meant to. Maybe you're not the person that can write it yet. Maybe that person exists in 3 years, and that's why you haven't had the space to write it yet.
Yes, I would agree. Absolutely. It's beautiful. Well, Talyn, thanks so much
Thank you
for
guys.
joining us. This has been
You're so
absolutely
sweet.
fabulous.
Yes, too fun.
Yes, thank you guys so much, and enjoy your last 2 days, guys.
Yay! We'll hang out here for what, 15, 20 minutes
Yeah.
maybe, and we're just gonna talk about, I don't know what we're gonna talk about. We're gonna talk about all the speakers, probably.
Yes, we'll do a
And-
recap. Thank you,
Yeah.
Talyn.
Thank you
You're
so much.
welcome. Bye, guys.
Bye. Let me unpin her. All right, you guys. So-
Hey.
Hey, should we start up a new recording
Sure.
for this maybe? Because this one might be juicy, you guys. We have some banter we want to do. So I feel like I'm in the evolution of this summit. You know, I just keep hanging out with the summit, being with some of the messages, and each night I process. Sometimes I'm like, do I want to listen to one of the speakers' packages or something like that? And I really feel like earlier this week when Kristen was up, it was life-changing for me. If you missed that call with Kristen Blecky, she was talking kind of unrelated, and I got this huge awareness, and I've shared it several times to those of you guys who have been listening about, doubt being the opposite of gratitude. That's where it started. And then it went from that to me just feeling kind of this overwhelming of gratitude. And then I thought, well, I'm going to keep playing with this. And it made me really come to being grateful for every single thing, right, wrong, good, or bad, kind of somewhat to the tune of the conversation. But I'm going to take it even deeper. And here's something that I want to say, and I want to hear what Lyanca has to say, and maybe you guys have some things too. But how much are we cutting off gratitude because we don't want to receive things like judgment, or, if we're a people pleaser, we don't want to, even receive things that might not be love, right? If we're a people pleaser looking to gain love, as Talyn just said, what if we're also cutting off gratitude because we just don't want to receive everything? That's our way to push it aside. This is just a theory, but I wanted to play with that today.
Okay.
What are your thoughts?
Well, I think I need a little bit more than that. I mean, I know we had talked earlier about it, and just for the people that weren't listening or hadn't caught this part, you were saying how we could be cutting off ourselves from gratitude and really finding the gift in everything. And I brought up, the different things of like, what about the person that's, it's really hard for some, or can be really hard for someone that's maybe had sex abuse, or just any abuse, or just some violation of some sorts, to feel grateful for having created that. And that also is under the guise of, under the acceptance of, we create everything in our lives, and everything is a teacher or a lesson, and we're here, being these master creators on earth and in our experience. So, but in our experience, if we have those times come up, it's really hard for me to say, to tell someone, oh, well, you should be grateful for that, because that's
Well,
the
you
last
don't
fucking
have
thing they
to
want to
should
hear.
on yourself ever, right?
Right. But either way, but
Well-
that's the last thing that they want to hear, or it's maybe the last thing I want to hear sometimes, right? I mean, we have been
Yeah, if a dog runs out in the
entrained.
road and gets, hit by a bus and killed, I mean,
Or if
it's
it's
really
my
hard to
dog
see.
that-
Yeah, if
and
it's
I
your
left
dog
and I left
and
the
you
door
left the
open.
door open and you're making yourself wrong in all kinds of ways and you're heartbroken as well. I mean, it's really hard for you to receive the gift in that. And I'm, inviting you to, what if we were to receive? Maybe it wasn't you, it was the choice. The dog was like, I'm done,
Yeah.
right?
And I can see that now, but I'm just kind of playing devil's advocate here for those who might find it as a stretch, to find the gift in some of those more traumatic moments. It's almost like you have to, well, it is that you have to almost step outside of yourself and then look back on the experience, in order to even get that perspective, right? Because everything that we're experiencing is through our perspectives anyway.
Let's see, somebody just wrote something in. What did they write? Tina wrote, I had some things that would, just let me open up the chat here. Ugh, there we go. I would not want to ever do again or to experience.
But I'm still grateful for it all, because I have something out of yes.
Out of it. So you got something out of it all. Something had taken so many years to get to that place, but truly
Don't judge it right or wrong.
Right, wrong. Yeah.
Just say it is and was. Just is and was. I like that.
See, I hate the word, it is what it is.
I say that a lot. It's fine.
Do you know, and you know why? Because whenever somebody says that, it's always something that they don't want in their life. They've already said, blah.
Yeah, I used to say that all the time. I'm like, oh, it is what it is.
I can think of a lot of things in my life that I'm not so, keen on or grateful for. But at the same time, I'm thinking, how can I get there? How can I get to see, oh, wait, what if this is more like a movie playing out? I'm sure, I know some of you on the line have had really bad, debilitating accidents. People have been at war, and then that, changed their entire life from PTSD and physical ailments. I mean, I can see how it'd be almost impossible to get to receiving the gift in that.
Yeah.
But I wanted to go there and play with it anyway.
Yeah, well, you like to stir the pot, huh?
Yeah,
That's one of the
it
fun
just
things.
felt like this is a conversation worth having. One of the very first summits that Darius and I did, we did with it, like we're doing the entire summit, and with it, we're going out doing random acts of kindness, and we're trying to get the audience to do it too, right, and share it. And I took my daughter to like meet the firefighters and have them talk about it and stuff like that. And I just remember, trying to be in that place of, I have to be a random act of kindness today. So what if you had to be in gratitude today?
Oh,
You see what I'm saying?
gotcha.
Just playing with it.
Okay.
So maybe not. Maybe this isn't jiving. Maybe we don't have to be in gratitude. Maybe it doesn't have anything to do with receiving.
I see. That doesn't resonate.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Because gratitude, when you really look at it, when you really look at the energy, it's a form, it is love.
Yeah.
It is a love. And what is
often a self-love?
Right. And an energy, the true form of energy in everything is love. Not the love that, when I'm not talking about the way you love your like boyfriend or something like that, or attraction. I'm talking about the generative form of love that Source has for creating all there is And that is a form of frequency of gratitude. And
Yep.
and that then when you can put gratitude or change the frequency of the whatever it is you're examining, whatever it is you're being with, then you would have changed the frequency of that particular experience in yourself as well.
Yeah, that would be.
And now you've given it a new you've alchemized it.
You
That's
alchemized it. That is the word, isn't it?
You've given it a new form. You've allowed it to create something else, the true form of energy of love.
Yeah.
You've given it that.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, Anita says cultivate
Yeah.
gratitude,
I got like all of my
which turns into love. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And receiving.
Mm-hmm.
So how much more could we receive if we be gratitude?
Yeah. Wow. Mm.
I
That's
would like,
good.
I think it would be really fun. We can talk after Ambajam's call tomorrow, but I think it'd be really fun today if you would go and, everything you touch, for your dinner or your breakfast or, your dog. I mean, and just be that energy of gratitude. So grateful for this lunch. So grateful to be chewing. So grateful for my teeth. So grateful for my digestion. So grateful for the pain that I have.
You know what else comes through with that, Jeneth? And that sound, I get excited because I think about the what could be created. It's like, wow, I can just feel the universe going, you just unlocked a whole bunch of stuff for everybody. And just think about how that permeates through the world. But the other thing that really came up for me was, oh gosh, it's going to slip me right now. But basically, it's like, what else not only could be created, not only through the alchemy, but when you give that sense of gratitude, how else can you, it takes a life form of its own. And when you're walking through saying, can I be grateful for this? And can I be grateful for this? If I'm looking down at my doggy and he's like, doing his dog, my dog can be so annoying sometimes, but he's so cute. And, but if I could just be like grateful for the presence of him always asking me to scratch him, poor baby. And, but imagine how each of those little things that I kind of like on, how present you would be. If you're just walking around acknowledging the gratitude, gosh darn it, like you're like, not only are you creating, but you're creating from a place of presence.
So present.
Right, because you're aware. Am I aware? Am I aware? Am I aware? Am I
That's
gratitude?
almost like years ago, I did this thing where I said, that's an interesting point of view. Like really looked at it as, good, bad, right, or wrong. If somebody would say something, or I think something even, like the little ticker in my brain would be,
That's interesting.
whatever it was. Right now, I don't have any thoughts. So, I would be like, that's an interesting point of view. My brain has that point of view. And I would just like do it for everything. Even like the dirt in my car, I did it with, as I recall. I was like, that's an interesting point of view that there is mud on this floor mat.
How funny. So now you're asking us to say, okay,
I'm grateful for the mud on my floor mat.
what contribution is that, right?
Yeah.
Cool, man. Let's go.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
interested to have anybody report back
Might
if
be
they really
a contribution of cleanliness that you notice, I do want things cleaner, and I'd be so grateful if something was cleaner. It could be like so simple, but I would love if you guys would play with that today. And then tomorrow we can kind of unlock it.
Ooh, yes.
Oh, and that's what we should do whenever we do the lounge. We should just have them have homework, and then they've got to chomp on it for 3 weeks until the next session.
And a day or two of it, and then we start to let things like fall by the wayside. But can you imagine 3 weeks? Essentially,
know.
you'd be creating a whole new habit.
Yeah.
You would be a new person.
Yeah, 21 days,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Is what they say.
So there we go, creating new people ourselves. Love it. Yeah, 21 days.
I'm loving that.
That's my no accident.
Yeah.
Well, anyway,
Yeah. Any other thoughts about it? More things to inspire feelings of gratitude show up when we're already embodied in gratitude. Totally. Yeah. Whew. Joe said, I'm going to go back to Terry Britt's statement, surrender and trust. I ask myself sometimes, do I truly trust in gratitude and unconditional love as gratitude? And so I think there's a play here with frequency, with love, gratitude, and receiving. You know, that it's like, you know, they're very close to all being one. They're not one. An acknowledgement.
you talked about that.
Yeah.
If you tap into the energy of, okay, I acknowledge something, and now I can either move it through or unblock it, whatever that acknowledges, if maybe it may be coming up from a past life, whatever those things are, right? Whatever that blockage is. Okay, so yes, that creates a clearing. But now look at it and add the gratitude. So if it's something in a past life and someone brought it up for you and made you aware of it, okay, so that's one energy. But then let's say that you were persecuted as a witch, right? And you're burned at the stake and you can feel the burn and it's still blocking you in today's world, right? Whatever it is, whatever you believe, it could be anything else. And then you say, okay, well, I'm grateful for that.
Yeah.
That's a different energy.
Well,
It's a more expansive energy
yeah.
than simply the clearing of it, because now it's a creation. Now you've alchemized it.
Yeah.
Wow.
You've also acknowledged it, which also comes with all the superpowers of witchiness.
Yes, it does. That's true, right?
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, I almost want to say turn it on, turn it up, turn it on, turn it up, turn it on, turn it up. How much can we turn these energies on?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, and what might that create? If we would do it and more people would do it, what else is possible? Yeah.
Well, I'm
thank
eager
you.
to run off and report back tomorrow for sure.
Yeah. You guys, thanks so much for joining us today. This is a beautiful day
Ooh, acknowledge, allow, alchemize, and activate.
Oh my gosh,
booyah.
thank you for that.
Yeah.
And that's
The
our next
AAA.
course from Anita.
Yes.
If we actually do name a course that, you know what, allowance might be a little lighter.
Allowance, yes,
Allowance.
yes.
Yeah.
She put allowance in there. And
Yeah.
There's a lot, whole.
The quadruple A challenge. I love it so much. Anita, if we do that, you get a free ticket to it if you want to join us.
Yes.
I'm kind of feeling that. Feels kind of light, something
does.
like that.
It does.
As a course. Beautiful. See how kind of the whispers come not always through you, but it comes through others.
Oh,
I mean,
for sure.
Right?
Yes.
And that is why I want to join. I want more of you to join our $29 a month community called The Lounge. I really do, because I really feel like if we get to go off and create together in that way, that we will really be, we'll get the whispers from each other.
Oh,
right?
yeah. Oh, yes.
Yes.
I mean, you'll be surprised how your psychic abilities come online, just for the simple fact that we are forever expanding. And you're putting yourself around those that which you will, you just activate yourself too.
Yeah. And remember the kickoff party's next Tuesday.
Yay.
And
Well, thank you. Thank you, Tina.
Thank you. Beautiful. All right, you guys, I guess this is a wrap
This
for
is
today.
a wrap. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being a contribution.
Friday, I know you don't usually join on Friday, but tomorrow we've got a special bonus with Ambajam Rose. So I would love if you would come back and heart balm two guys. This is going to be my new thing.
Yay.
Heart balm. And experience the greatness of Ambajam, and she's just takes you to places you don't even know exist in the world, it seems sometimes.
Yippee, love it. I'm a drum, someone wrote. Thank you guys.
Thank you. Namaste to you. Bye, everyone.
And she said, can you share the Instagram link? Yes, we will.
Instagram link for
For the show for tomorrow. Yes, we'll share the link for sure. So for the show, to join us tomorrow, if you're not getting the replays or if you're listening in a different place, it's at hautehustle.com. So it's HAUTE hustle.com. And there's just a little opt-in there and you'll get all of the invite.
Yeah, my Instagram, which I always post, is at Hey Jeneth, by the way. And Lyanca's is...
My name, with the dot in the middle.
Didn't they have a dot in the middle?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, okay.
It's Lyanca.Reina.
And we just started a brand new Instagram for the actual event that I've just been posting a few things on. And that one's like Hot Hustle Media, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yay.
there you go.
All the grams.
Yep, you can decide where you want to be, what you want to watch. And thank you.
Thank you.
All right, see you guys tomorrow. Have a great day.